With regard to Brockhill's background, we know almost nothing about her upbringing, aside from the fact that she grew up in a traveller community. But whatever happened during this time essentially destroyed any chance she had of growing up to be a fully functioning adult. I think it's likely that she was neglected and or abused as a child, which left her with incredibly low self-esteem and a pathological fear of rejection. She was a woman who was jealous of the attention an infant was getting, who saw them as a rival, and this only comes from a deep dark place of absolute insecurity. I think her childhood was likely characterised by violence, whether this was in the home or elsewhere, and this normalised the horrific acts she went on to commit. She was likely taught that violence was a way to solve any issue, a way to gain respect, a way to keep people in line, to get what you wanted. I think everything that Brockhill did, the boxing, her jobs and security, were all her desperate attempts at fronting, to portray to others how strong she was, how tough she was. But the reality is that she was utterly pathetic and weak, constantly terrified of being abandoned. But her mask fell away completely when it came to relationships. She was terrified of being rejected. She needed to control her partners as quickly as possible. When she met Frankie Smith, she saw an easy mark, someone with issues who she could utterly dominate. And so, like so many other domestic abusers, the relationship progressed at breakneck speed. This was all about Brockhill having utter control over Smith. However, she was constantly jealous. Just how deranged and insecure Brockhill was is shown by the Facebook post where she felt the need to essentially warn off anyone from messaging or talking to Smith because they were together. If Brockhill could have stopped Smith from talking to anyone apart from her, I've no doubt she would have done. But while she could post this online and get people to back off, Star was still there. She was still in the way. As I just said, at the core of this case is the fact that Savannah Brockhill, pathetic piece of shit that she is, was jealous and intimidated by an infant. Brockhill saw the pre-existing indifference that Smith had to her daughter, and she fanned the flames. Brockhill dehumanised Star, making her out to be a naughty child, and she and Smith bonded through their abuse of her. They laughed and joked together, all at the expense of this little girl. Their behaviour was sadistic. They got a sick thrill from hurting Star, and I returned to Brockhill's various searches after she'd assaulted this child. Some of them, I think, were her looking up whether she might have gone too far in what she was doing, but others, I think, with her looking up what damage Star was suffering and revelling in the fact that she had caused her specific types of pain and distress. Star was also Brockhill's personal punching bag. It wasn't her unstable personality which meant that her relationship was toxic. Why her and Smith kept arguing, it was all Star's fault. And then there was the final assault. By this point, Smith hated Star as much as Brockhill did, and the latter felt confident she could do whatever she wanted to this 16-month-old. And so she did. She beat her to death, potentially due to her simply ripping up a ticket. This was just 11 months after Smith and Brockhill had first laid eyes on each other. After the murder, neither Smith nor Brockhill could even pretend to care. Frankie Smith is a horrific woman, a terrible excuse for a mother who should never be allowed to have children again, but Savannah Brockhill is another level of evil, a monster who beat a defenceless girl to death, who, in the aftermath, was likely ecstatic. Her partner was all hers, and her main rival, an infant, was dead. She'd won. Being blunt, fuck the pair of them. With regards to Brockhill especially, I hope she rots in prison, and if she's ever released, she's never given a moment's peace, is hounded for the rest of her life, and eventually dies, miserable and alone.